Oh boy. Some technical difficulties again. Remember, if you like the videos, like, sub, silly comment, share, support the channel if you can. Appreciate it. Thanks. Super chat, PayPal, Patreon, super like the video, whatever. If you want to support the channel, I appreciate it. Thanks. Today, I want to kind of go off of that last video I did, and I want to talk about how games don't have enough rules nowadays. Games actually need more rules, or perhaps a better way to phrase this is games nowadays are not limiting enough. There needs to be more limits to what you can do in a video game, right? Because this limitation breeds creativity, right? You know, like if you watched my recent video about how I would change Street Fighter, I put in a lot of quotation marks, let's say rules for how the game has to work. Let's say, again, a better word than rule might be limitations, right? But because of those limitations, you are forced to be creative. And I think I showed in the video many creative ways that you could use a game that has a lot of limitations on what you can do, right? Even if I talk about my, you could say history in terms of doing tech and combos and all this sort of stuff for fighting games, I've always said, and you can look at my videos and the history of my tenure, if you could even call it, there's a word for you, tenure, in fighting games, I actually generally like characters and doing tech for characters that are more quotation marks limited, right? Now, some of these characters I just happen to serendipitously like, but I've said before, I don't like characters like Venom, let's say, or Beerus in Dragon Ball FighterZ. These characters that are supposed to have crazy combos, when you are supposed to be able to do anything, right? When you are not limited in your tool set, I actually think it makes you less creative. When you are forced in a sort of box and you are only given a few tools to make something work, you have to be creative with those tools. And that's why I take a lot of pride in that I have done combo videos for games that, geez, someone just showed me people are still complaining about the Hayato combo. I literally just got a message yesterday that people are still complaining about the Hayato tech. Hayato is supposed to be a limited character, but guess what? The Hayato tech that I've done, it's exploded these people's brains. Kai is not supposed to be the craziest character in Guilty Gear. Guess what? People still are trying to recreate Kai tech that I did. The game came out 2006, whatever. All those Marvel videos. Ryu is not supposed to be a crazy character. Guess what? What was it? Just like last year, people were trying to use tasks to recreate what I did with Ryu by hand, right? A character that's not supposed to be complicated, right? Because when you actually have these limited characters, if you can actually do something creative with them, it shows actual, creativity, I think, right? Because you're limited. You have to think outside the box, right? Again, I've used that phrase before. There's the phrase, it's a talent hits the target that no one else could hit, but a true genius can hit the target that nobody else could see, right? And I have this little picture here because I've used this as an example of a game that was very fundamentally flawed right from the get-go in terms of its rules and its limitations, right? And that would be the game. What do you think about this? I've made many videos about it, and when I used to write about video games and how they would turn out on stuff like SRK, I talked about MVCI, right? Right when this game came out and I was doing videos for it, I was like, this game... Right, MCI. Oh, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. There you go. Oh, geez. I don't even know what game we're talking about. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. And I was like, this game is so fundamentally flawed. It makes no sense, right? It is a fake creative game, right? They sold you this illusion that the game was so, free form and limitless or whatever, that you could do all this kind of things because the game didn't have all these rules, right? But in fact, the one rule of the game, I say that quotation marks, totally kind of destroyed the game, right? having so many not rules, let's say, actually ruin the game. And I talked about this like treasure map theory, the treasure box theory, whatever it was, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. And generally speaking, if you think about a game versus Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and when I've talked about this game, is there this idea that once you get to about 50% life, maybe it's 55%, I'm sure some frame data nerd will try to post whatever exactly it is. Doesn't matter, I've still done more than you, but feel free to post the exact frame data for it, whatever it is. But when I was doing my videos for the game, I was like, once you get to about 50%, maybe about 55%, you've reached the point of no return in this game. And the dude will automatically tech, even supers. Even supers. If it's not a cinematic super, they will even tech supers, right? So the actual sort of idea of the game is how can I get close enough to 50%, 55%, whatever exactly it is, and then I do something that, you know, can't be teched or something like that, right? Because this or an autumn or your what is it called? You know, a cinematic super, some shit like that, right? But this is the goal, to get to 50%, right? Now the game gives you tools to get to 50%, right? What are some of the tools? Well, of course, it's a tag team game, right? You could pick a strong guy, you could pick a pixie character, whatever. I can free flow with my tagging, right? Whatever it is, there's a tool I have. I also have all these power stones, what are they called? The infinity gems, whatever, right? But one of the big brain farts about this is there's this idea that if you think about the Marvel games, if you think about some of the gimmicks of the game, is your character might have a wall bounce, your character might have a off the ground bounce, and they might just have a regular like OTG combo, right? But something they basically did in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, if you're to think about, say, Ryu, right? I want you to think about this. People still to this day try to recreate my day one Marvel 3 videos. Is that not crazy? A character that, guess what his gimmick is, you know what I mean? This might be, he didn't have OTGs, he didn't have like bounce off the ground, or he had an OTG with the Shinku Hadouken, but he couldn't do it with normals. All he had was a thrust kick that wall bounced. He didn't even get all these tools. But in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, or Infinite, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, they gave all these characters can do this. All the characters can OTG. All the characters can wall bounce. All the characters can bounce you off the ground too. So now I already have these 3 tools, right? Now, when we look at these gems and everything like that, it's like, well, I could use, I don't remember what is the power stone. I don't remember what color is the power stone, right? But let's say we have the red stone, I think was the homing orb one. Homing orb one, that's a neutral kind of thing, right? That doesn't matter to get to this 50%, this treasure chest, right? Just like we had, again, I don't remember exactly. I think yellow revived your character, something like that. This isn't relevant to getting 50%. Green, was this it made you fast so you could combo faster? It doesn't matter to getting 50% because we don't need this to get to 50% because we already have other tools that can get us to 50%. I don't remember which one was maybe blue? Which color was the power stone that made you do more damage? We don't need to worry about doing more damage because we can already get to 50% with the tools that we have just in our regular toolkit. And then maybe it was the blue one. Was this the blue box thing, right? So right away, when you watch the game, and I talked about it as well, it's like, what is the point of these other stones when they don't actually affect winning, quotation marks? They don't actually affect winning the prize of the game because ultimately the prize of the game is to deplete the other character's life bar and kill them, right? So it was like, why would you not just trap the character in a box so you can go for mix up? Or why would you not use a neutral tool like a fireball? Because these other tools are irrelevant to, quotation marks, winning from a certain perspective, right? Then we even get into, like I said before, we have these 3 tools. Well, I don't need to use every kind of bounce to get to 50%. I might just need 1 bounce. You know what I mean? That's why I said, so there's this fake freedom, like, oh, well, you can bounce the guy all these different ways now. Now, not every character is just like, designate, oh, I can only bounce that way, or maybe some characters can do an off the ground and a bounce. Now, everyone gets a bounce. Everyone gets a bounce. I'm Oprah. Everyone gets a bounce. Everyone gets an OTG. But the thing is, not everybody needs this because you don't even need that to get to 50%. You might only need 1 of the bounces. And then we get into the problem, so wait a second. So now you're telling me we have a character, a strong character that normally does more damage. But him doing more damage is irrelevant to getting to 50% because guess what? I can pick my pixie character or my lockdown character because we have the same threshold for victory. One character doing less damage than the other, do they really do less damage when we can only get 50%? And then you think about one of the gimmicks of the game. It's like, oh, well, it's so free flowing. I can switch in between my guy, in and out, which I think is fun. But guess what? This doesn't matter, quotation marks doesn't matter because guess what? I don't need to switch in between my guy to get 50%. Maybe if this was a game where let's say if we use the if we use the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 example where Ryu only gets a thrust kick, right? To bounce you off the wall. Well, maybe that's one of his gimmicks. So maybe I want to pick a tag team partner that they don't need to worry about getting a bounce off the wall thing because that's my thing. That's my thing. Now I want to try to find some synergy of a character that has an OTG or a bounce off the ground thing. So now there's actually a reason for this synergy because now our toolkits can, kind of synergistically work together. But even that doesn't matter because guess what? The damage threshold is so low in the game, it's 50%. So that's why I said, this is an example of a game that was just right when I looked at the game and right when I started playing, I'm like, this game doesn't make any sense. Why would you not just do red orb or put the guy in the cage? The gem system, infinity stones, the stone system, The stone system makes no sense. Why would you not generally default to an orb that tracks the guy or to just put the guy in a box? Me being faster when I do a combo doesn't matter because we're still only going to get to 50%. Me having a power stone that does more damage doesn't really matter because I'm the 50%. That is the goal, right? Why would I not use the versatile usages of it? It's almost funny because you think about a game or a series perhaps where you think about if we were to stereotype the Marvel series or a verse series as a game that is full of bullshit. And maybe you want to make the game less bullshit, less lockdown and everything like that. But certainly their idea for making it less lockdown, it didn't work, Bob. This idea was not well planned out. Well, I'm telling you, Pikachu, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. The game makes no sense. So I always use Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite as a game that even right when you're like, the draft of the game, when they're making the draft of the game and it's like they're having a little powwow, the battle planner, whoever was the battle powwow planner of this game, I don't know. Do they still work at video games? Were they not fired immediately? Because this doesn't even make sense. Marvel vs. Capcom is a game example of what I talk about, that you need actual rules, a actual good rule. You need limitations. Not every character should be able to bounce you in the same way. When you start giving every character all the same tools, right? The game just divulges into bullshit. It's stupid. Look at games like Street Fighter 6 or whatever. Oh, wow, everyone uses their meter the same way because we all have the same tools, blah, blah, blah. We don't have the same restrictions, right? That's why I said if you look at how I would change Street Fighter and I'd put a system into it, I would put in a system that actually is inherently unique, right? Every character has to use the system in a way that is unique to them. Nobody can use the system in a way that the other character can use it. That's how you actually make a real rule and a limitation in a game that actually breeds creativity. Because again, I want you to think about it. Think about the history of fighting games. I know some of you motherfuckers hate me that watch my videos, but guess what? Do you know what? Some of you motherfuckers that hate me, I know some people that like me, some people like my videos, but guess what? All these people that hate me, guess what? You know the videos that people talk shit about and they've had to use tasks and they still try to recreate? Guess what? It's the videos for characters that are supposed to not have combos. Is that not crazy? Marvel videos, guess what? Ryu, people have used tasks to try to recreate my day one Ryu videos, dude. It's 2025 and people do that. My Kai videos, People buying macro, anything they can do to try to recreate my Kai videos. It's not the Venom videos. It's not the Venom videos that everyone's using, tasks to try to recreate or all this kind of stuff. It's not all these other characters. It's my videos. It's my videos that have constantly, people have thought that they were fake, and it's for characters that are supposed to be limited. When you can actually do something that is creative, or when you can actually do something where there's actually supposed to be rules that this character can't do this. There's limits for this. And you can actually make something creative. Look at this. Again, 2025, dude. People are still trying to recreate the stuff that I've done with these characters that are supposedly not creative characters. Again, I just got a message yesterday. A guy messaged me. He's like, Marvel Discord, they're still talking about your Hayato shit. My Hayato shit, they can't believe it's real. Insane. Anyway, if you like the videos, like, sub, silly comment, share, support the channel if you can. Appreciate it. Thanks. Super chat, PayPal, Patreon, whatever. The end.